So introduce yourself and then share your personality type.
Okay. Hi, I'm Tiffany Von Gravely, and I am an INTJ, which is the rare, intelligent, semi-pretentious type, I guess.
Yeah. Believe it or not, there are some female INTJs out there, everyone watching.
Hello, I exist. I am your unicorn.
So a couple of questions. Do you feel like ever since you learned that you were an INTJ, was it easier for you to like embrace your more logical nature, or how do you think that that has worked with being socialized like as a woman, or like trying to seem nice to people?
I mean, it definitely explained a lot.
Yeah.
When I found out what I was and I was able to like read up on my personality type, because INTJs are very rare, especially for females. So I always felt like, well, like I kind of fit in over here, but not really, and I can talk to these people, but like they don't really feel like people that I like super get along with. So it was always hard to try and find ways to like kind of fit in. And then once I found out what my personality type was and I learned more about it, I was like, oh, all of this makes sense. Like this makes sense, like how I interact with people, how I like judge people, how, you know, I like to go about my career path was another way that I was like looking at being an INTJ. So it was really helpful for sure to like kind of figure it out and be like, all of my like life's issues have been answered.
So did you feel like misunderstood like growing up?
Definitely. Like I kind of feel like I was a very smart, like observant kid, and a lot of people treated me like I was, you know, just a kid, like not really understanding what's happening. And it was always very frustrating for me as a child to try to communicate with other people that I was having these intelligent thoughts, and like I wanted to talk to people about like larger discussions than, you know, what the other kids wanted to talk about. So it did make me feel very isolated. I kind of felt like I was always weird and like, well, I'm just the weird kid, you know, and kind of accepted that. And then when I grew up and I grew into it, and you know, you just stop caring about what people think about you, then it got a lot easier for sure.
So do you think that as an INTJ, you have had experiences where you've cared what people thought about you? Because this in the community, for you guys watching at home, I've heard a lot of INTJs be like, I don't care what anyone thinks. And I think that that's true to an extent, but I think sometimes they're just saying that. So like, explain your relationship to caring what people think and what that's been like.
Well, I think that, you know, when you're younger, you do care about what people think because you are constantly around your peers. And I think that as you get older, it gets easier and easier to care less, especially when you have your own house and you don't have to walk around wearing pants if you don't want to. Like, it gets a lot easier to not care about what other people think. And as an INTJ, I can say for sure that like I do care about what other people think of me. I value others' opinions, or at least, you know, others' opinions that I think are worth valuing. Not to like sound,
yeah,
but you know, whatever. But
so would you say you care more about choice people in your life versus?
For sure. Like, I could get up and talk in front of a crowd like all day. Like, public speaking does not scare me. But if I were to like try and present a project to like a trusted close group of friends, I care way more about what they think of me than like what a crowd of like strangers thinks of me. So in that respect, it gets a lot harder to like care less when I actually really care about these people. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure. Like, now that I'm older, I think it has more to do with age that I've stopped caring about what other people think because I'm becoming much more comfortable in myself. And I'm
Although I will say,
anybody,
I do think that INTJs sort of have a superpower compared to other types when it comes to listening to themselves more than listening to the group.
Yeah.
And so maybe you have a less of a hard time with peer pressure than other types, but you still experience it because we're all still human.
Yeah, we're all still human, and you know, we want to like be accepted, and I think that's totally natural to want to to either impress people or have people care about you or have people not have bad opinions of you. Like, I think that that's totally normal. And I think that everybody has those thoughts, but I do think that, like, as INTJs get older, we're just like, no, I know better than you. I don't need to care what you think of me. So.
Okay, I have 2 more questions, and then we'll end this. Is how would you describe your personality or how you are to someone who you are just meeting? Like, whether that be words or whatever anecdote you think makes sense.
I mean, like, I like to think that I'm friendly and open. I definitely like talking to other people. I think that people are fascinating, to say the least. I think that when I'm meeting somebody new, you know, I definitely want to give a good first impression, and I also really like to take a step back from my own life experiences so that I can hear more about theirs, is what I'm saying.
Cool. And how would you describe the way that you process your emotions whenever they do come up?
Is not at all an option.
Do you prefer being alone or talking to people, or how do you handle it?
I definitely compartmentalize a lot, which is something I'm learning about. But I process emotions very slowly because I want to try and find, I guess, like a logical way to think about them, but some, you know, emotions aren't logical sometimes. So that makes me process them a little bit more slowly until I just accept the fact that they don't make sense all the time, and then I move on. But I think, yeah, that's kind of how I process emotions, is slowly and eventually.
Cool. So do you want to sort of plug your channel or like say what you're up to?
Sure. My channel is Tiffany Von Gravely, and I'm a animator and blogger, and I like making a lot of listicle videos explaining things that I think I know a lot about.
That's awesome.
I like sharing. I like sharing how I think about the world in hopes that maybe somebody else hadn't thought of it before, or it helps people come to their own conclusions about certain things. I like to add new perspective.
Awesome. All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. So I think that, okay, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Okay, my name's Jessa. I'm from the channel Jessa J Vlogs, and Jessa J, depending on which channel people like to watch.
So you've taken the test before, but you're not sure what you're...
Yeah, it's been a long time, and I just
So
don't remember.
my guess is that Jessa is an ISFP. You guys can let me know at home what you think. I'm gonna still ask some questions. I sense some strong FI from her, which is introverted feeling, which is the top function. So I'll just ask you a few questions. Is how would you describe your personality and who you are? Like, what are your friends like the most about you, would you say?
Okay, so like if a friend was describing me,
Yeah.
I think they would say a little crazy, but not to the point that it's really bad. They'd say adventurous, free-spirited, gentle, and loving.
Mm-hmm. And you said that you've been in between introvert and extrovert, that you're pretty social, but you still need your alone time. Describe that.
The question used to always really confuse me. Like, I didn't know. For a while, I always said, oh, I'm in between, like, what's the word, like ambivert or something.
Yeah.
And then I realized that wasn't really true either. And I realized, okay, I'm not extroverted because I can't just, like, feed off of the energy of other people. Instead, other people, like, sometimes drain me because I'm always thinking of, like, what that person needs, or, like, if they're feeling included, or, you know, like, I'm always thinking for them, versus, like, I'm definitely introverted in the way that I have to have my alone time and I have to recharge, but then I've never been shy, and I've never been, like, afraid to talk to people. So that's why it's always confused me, because I associate extroverts with, like, always being talkative, which I am sometimes, with introverts being very quiet, and I just don't think that's true.
So how would you describe, like, if you were in, like, a big family, like, group event, or, like, a group with friends, if you were having, like, in a bad mood or something bad happened, how would you, like, process that and then try and go have fun? Or
Okay, so it's been different at different times in my life, depending on, like, the type of trauma. Like, that sounds really weird, but so there's certain things, if I feel like it's a trauma, I can share with people, like something that I don't want to keep private.
Yeah.
I feel like I can be emotional in front of people, and I can say, this is what I'm going through, and I can be sad in front of people.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm like actually feeling that emotion instead of suppressing it, like it goes away faster. Versus a trauma that I don't really feel like I can easily talk about. That's where I just kind of like seclude myself, like sob or cry or like have that emotion.
And would you say it
then-
depends on who you're with and how much you trust them or whatever?
I trust a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be open with people pretty quickly. Like, people will tell me that I'm very honest. Like, I don't really have a front. Like, I kind of just answer things how they are most of the time.
Would you say, have you been called like straightforward?
Very straightforward, but then... Okay, so I'm very straightforward about myself, but then when I'm talking about somebody else, I usually sugarcoat things. So, like... I'm the first one to be like, oh, I got a bad grade on that test, but it's because I screwed up and didn't study. It was totally my fault.
Yeah.
But then if somebody else does something wrong, I'm like, oh, but you know, like, they've just been having a hard week, and, you know, like, they're trying really hard, it just wasn't their day, you know, like, that kind of thing. So I get both.
Yeah. Do you think it's, gosh, what was I going to ask? You were talking earlier about how you've never really considered yourself someone who has their head in the clouds.
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit?
I can. So part of that stems from like I grew up in an environment where like I had to know where the ground was. Like I had to know how to get things done and how to like I grew up very quickly. And I think part of that made me just aware of how the world works. And so in a way that I don't even know if that's completely related to my personality, it's more just like my experience of knowing like, you know, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. Like you can't just get away with things all the time.
So would you say you just like to kind of a straight shooter, just want to solve things?
That's the thing,
and
is
make it
like,
there?
I've never thought of myself as having my head in the clouds, but then I also don't go about doing things the way everybody else would do them. Like, it bores me to think, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, go to college and then I'm gonna get married and then I'm gonna have a kid and then, you know, like,
Yeah.
which
So
is
you
part of
kinda
the reason
march
why
to
I'm
the
like
beat of
living
your-
in my van and traveling is because that just scares the crap out of me. But then I think I'm realistic about what I'm doing too.
Yeah, talk a bit about living it. Well, we can end it here. Like, talk a little bit about your situation and what you're sharing on YouTube and stuff like that.
Okay, so basically, I was feeling very, like, enslaved by the system, and
Yeah.
and not that I'm very thankful that I get to go to college, and that, like I'm happy that I'm doing that and everything, but at the same time, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm still finishing my degree. Like, I only have 3 months before I have to go back to school. But, like, I needed to get completely out. And because I knew I only had a short amount of time to, I was like, well, I just got to do, like, the extreme opposite.
Yeah.
The extreme opposite of what I'm doing, which is, like, safety to, like, non-safety. And not necessarily in a way that, like, I'm going to get hurt or injured, but, like, not knowing what each day is going to look like. And being able to meet new people that, like, I might not ever meet again, or, like, experience things I might not ever experience.
So you say you're like kind of chasing experiences right now?
Yes, 100%. Chasing experiences, like, growing myself, like, doing everything I'm afraid of is what this summer is.
Yeah, and see, this is why, for those of you guys watching, why I think that she seems like a sensor, why I think she uses extroverted sensing, because extroverted sensing is very much about wanting to learn from the experience, hands-on, like get your hands dirty,
Yes.
and not just do what people are telling you, and not just learning from what has been safe or like what the best practices are. Oh, this is how these are the steps you take in order to get here. Like, you want to figure out your own path,
Right,
right?
because I feel like sometimes the paths that people give you, they lead you to normal results.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, I want to take a non-normal path and get non-normal good results.
Yes.
Like, I don't want them to be bad results, but, like, I know I wouldn't have, like, YouTube wouldn't be able to be my job if I didn't do the things I do. Like, if I didn't have a life that was worth vlogging, I wouldn't have, like, the viewers I do.
Yes.
You know? And
Guys, listen, this is some good extrovert sensing right here.
well,
Okay.
like, my mom told me the other day, she's like, Jessa, I'm okay with everything except for, like, you living in your van. And I go, none of the things I do, my job, my life, my friends, none of them would be possible if I didn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, I went the way I went, an unconventional way, but, like, I still got where I wanted to go, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. Awesome. So, any last thing you want to plug? Did you already set your channel?
Yeah, I did.
All right.
Also, she's dope. Subscribe subscribe.
Oh my god, thank you. Subscribe to her. Hey guys, so I'm at VidCon and I met another ENFJ with her ENTJ fiance, right?
Yes.
So
Hi.
introduce yourself.
Hi,
Other-
I'm Ferris. I have a YouTube channel. It's Ferris Jacqueline on YouTube, and this is my fiance. He is Will, and he helps me with my channel.
Yeah. So I wanted to, okay, actually before we get into like the relationship part, tell me a little bit about how you discovered that you were an ENFJ.
How I discovered I was an ENFJ. Well, I really just love personality tests, and I know deep down that I am a people person. So when I found out that, personality tests were a thing, I took it, and that's how I found out I was an ENFJ, and it just matched me really well.
Yeah. And in what ways would you say that it fits you?
Well, a website that I went to do some research said it was The Giver, and I would say that I'm definitely the giver. Like, even today, I was trying to do something where I was like, Will, I need to do this, I need to bring this and give this to somebody, and he was like, you don't actually have to give them anything.
I totally vetoed that.
Yeah, so other than that, I'm definitely a people person, definitely a people pleaser, and I love to be around people.
Yeah. And you're studying to be a psychologist or a therapist?
So I am studying to be a clinical counselor, and I want to work with kids.
Cool. And so you have tested as an INTJ and ENTJ before. Yes. I'm saying ENTJ in this video just because personally you seem more ENTJ to me based on my first impression, which is limited. But tell me a little bit about how you discovered your personality type and what your company did and things like that.
So the first time I took a Jungian archetype test was in high school in an advanced psychology class. And I was an INTJ then. Fast forward a few years, and I was sent to a professional training with my job where they sent us to an all-day training that was based on the Jungian archetypes. And it did kind of conscious and subconscious measures. And my work one, which is the conscious, I'm trying to do this, was ENTJ. And my kind of more at home or maybe underlying was INTJ, it seemed like. And that makes sense to me because the various times I've taken the test, I've pretty much been split on I and E. Depending on my mood, more or less. And
bonus points for knowing that it's Carl Jung that came up with the archetypes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't talk about the Jungian stuff. But anyway, so tell me a bit about how your guys' relationship as a thinker and feeler has been, whatever you feel like sharing.
Yeah, we're definitely yin and yang. I'm definitely more of the people feeling type, and you're more of the...
I'm much more the things and the logic.
Yeah, and it's very complementary, and I think it's really important to know your flaws within your Myers-Briggs or your personality, and I know that for me, that mine is very emotional and that I can have my feelings hurt, so I have to make sure that I'm like, hey, this doesn't need to be so emotional, or you don't have to get upset about something silly.
Yeah, I think it works out for me as I always say that she's my other half. Like, she fills out the part of my personality that I'm missing, and that's she kind of, since we've been together for quite a while now, she kind of tends to take care of more of the people things for me, and I really appreciate that. I mean, I'm pretty bad at getting back to people, like in my personal life, or just having that people connection. Like, she's probably better at talking to my parents than I am. So, I focus sometimes, when she has her emotional, like she said, when she's doing the giver thing, I tend to kind of say, no.
That's just like one example from today, that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and would you guys both say, you could both take turns sharing, would you say that it has helped you understand other people from dating someone that is different, to sort of understand how other people are different or anything?
Yeah, well, I think
Whoops.
Oh, you're okay. Audio. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember the question. You poor thing, you need a tripod.
Oh, I know. I didn't bring one because I didn't have it on the plane or anything, so.
Yeah.
But
probably the little baby one.
Yeah.
It fits my GoPro. I bought a GoPro recently.
I honestly wasn't even planning on doing a video. I just kind of have done it.
I had to do a video today.
Yeah.
That's fine. has our relationship helped us understand people who are different?
Or I guess a better question would be, what have you learned from, I guess, the relationship? Which is a vague question.
Definitely that there's a thinker. I'm going towards like that feeling side of me. So like people aren't trying to be cold. People are just seeing the world in a very different thinking way. And everybody doesn't see the world in like a very feeling based thought process.
Yeah, I think I would mirror that statement. Yeah, mirror it like exactly. In that, like, I've realized that maybe there's times where I've come off as very cold or just too straightforward with people, and I realized that, you know, very very early on in our relationship that didn't work with her. Sometimes, I mean, we have very good communication, I think, but just telling it straight doesn't work always, and that you need to accommodate other people's personality types, and that's something that's, I think, through our relationship together has really helped me a lot. I mean, even professionally, just to understand that even the people I work with are these other types of people, and I need to accommodate their thinking styles.
Is feeling, would you say that feeling is valuable in the workplace? Tell me more about that.
Okay, so I work in a very, almost everyone I work with is very logical. I work in IT with a lot of developers and programmers. Is feeling, it is in a way, okay, so it is when you're dealing with what you should be actually programming, what you should be doing, who you're doing it for. All of that involves feeling in people, and I think that's where you'll see the more feeling end of what we do, at least in my job. And yes, I mean, even among people who are very logic oriented, they can rub each other the wrong way. And you'll see, I mean, I've seen that. I mean, even among people who are generally very, if you just watch people's speech patterns, you can tell if they're talking specifically about things, or about how they feel, or about how someone else feels, or about what someone else does. And you can kind of see, you know, even among people who basically talk about objects rather than feelings, that it's, there needs to be a people element there. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of value in it. And it really helps build teams. The feeling aspect really helps build teams of people. And that's crucial.
Yeah, so for those skeptical at home, looks like a thinking and feeling relationship can work out. Because I get this question sometimes where people get very hung up on, oh, this relationship needs to be with this person or whatever. So would you say, oh, last question I'll ask you guys is, how do you feel that you guys are similar?
Well, you mentioned earlier that we see the world in the same way, and I thought that really like stuck with me. I didn't think about that before, and I think that really encapsulates like that thought.
So you see the world in a similar ways, but you might communicate or talk about differently.
Yeah.
It's like having different tinted glasses on.
Yeah.
You see the same thing, but with a different set of colors, maybe.
Or maybe like you see this like ball or something, and you see this side and I see that side, and so we see the whole thing together.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We get the full picture.
Yeah, we get the full picture together.
And so you guys like cover each other's like blind spots, kind of.
Yeah,
100%.
That would be it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else either of you guys would like to add?
No, thank you.
Cool. Did you already plug your channel?
Yeah.
Cool.
Subscribe to you.
Yeah, subscribe to me. Subscribe to her. All right. Thank you.
Bye.